You can get this Green Goblin and some others at Big Bad Toy Store at the link in the description. Kaiju, turtles, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hey there, collectors. It's going to be Steven here, and welcome back to another Spider-Man related review, where today we're going to be taking a look at the SH Figuarts Green Goblin. Yes, the Raimi one, but not from that movie from No Way Home. Yes, his entrance into the MCU, and oh boy, I am excited, but rather mixed, because this is not the original design of the Green Goblin that I know and love, and I'm sure you do as well, Sam Raimi's original design. Anyway, with that being said, yes, this is as close as we're going to get in the SH Figuarts line, at least so far. Hopefully one day Tamashii Nations will be able to tackle that one. But nevertheless, William Dafoe is here, and he's going to be clocking in at about $165 or so, but don't let that be a little bit of a scare to you. He does come with his glider. Originally, I was not going to be looking to pick this one up despite some other previous arrangements, but thanks to the folks at BBTS, I was able to get this, so I am able to bring you a review of it today. So, without any further ado, let's take a look to see whether or not this version of William Dafoe is going to be worth adding into your collection in SH Figuarts format. In a way, the glider is its own separate figure. Look at the size of that thing, right? And it has points of articulation, so we're going to talk about that first, okay? So let's bring the Green Goblin in a little closer, and let's go ahead and have a little talk-see, all right? So the Green Goblin's head moves up and down on a barbell-style ball joint, so we can move the head around, no big deal. And then the neck is going to be on a ball joint as well. All fine and dandy, no big issues. Now, he is going to have this torn up hoodie, right? I will show you in a little bit that the hoodie doesn't really get in the way of the articulation except for the left arm, and you don't have to have the hoodie at all. Ooh. All right, so for the arms, we do have the shoulder pads, right? And the shoulder pads do actually move. That's pretty cool. They do move down a bit on basically a hinge system, and then there is going to be a swivel, so this way they can move up and they can move down as well. So not only do they drop down on a hinge, but they do also swivel around. So that is good to see. But we got to get it back on in order for it to work. Okay, so there we go. So this arm would be best to show. We have a small bit of a pop-in, pop-out system like the red and blue suit, which I did also just review, but we do have a butterfly joint system as well, which does have a ball joint base, it seems like, so that's good. So we can rock the shoulder around, which is good, but the arm is going to plug in on a ball joint. So we can spin the arm around, which is good, but when you do have the hoodie on, it does sort of block the range of movement ever so slightly. I know I just said it really only affects the one arm, but when you go ahead and you move the arm all the way around, that's kind of where it comes into play, right? Okay. Can he T-pose without getting his blaster, or whatever he would prefer to call that? Yeah, I would say he will. And then you can also just like adjust to sort of fake a different T-pose. So there you go. Both arms can do that. We do have bicep swivels. I'm going to take that off because my hands keep touching it. All right, yes, so bicep swivel. Keep in mind, because of his different armaments, that it may move into the shoulder pads. So that is a part of the reason why they move. Elbows. This is really cool. Not only do we have a double hinge, which we're not really going to get a full use of that double hinge. This is where maybe a single hinge would be most beneficial, but what's really cool is because they peg into the bicep and the forearm, we do get little bit of micro adjustments at both points. So if you need a little bit more range of movement, you can get that. The wrists, they do have the normal Figuarts style, so they plug into the forearm. So we are going to get swivels out of that. They do have a hinge, so they move like that. And since the hands plug in on a ball joint, they can get a little bit of tilting action, so on and so forth, but they are mostly just going to be spinning around, which is cool. We do have an ab crunch, but we can't really twist and turn all the way around, but we can rock forward and back. We do have a waist joint, which is going to be more so for that. But once again, we can't twist and turn all the way around. Hips. This is where we get a little bit confusing because look at this bag. So he can do the splits and he can kick back, forward, but sometimes, the bag, if the leg hits it enough, will cause the leg to pop off. And so, hey, if you ever wanted to see what the the joint looks like, this is just empty space pretty much. That's what that looks like. And it's very easy to pop back on. All right, well, there you go. We do have dedicated thigh swivels. These like to lock up on mine when I don't move them around for too long, but then they just move back fine enough. It's going to be for both legs. Double hinge knees. Oh, what? Yeah, so maybe a single hinge would have just been better here. See, sometimes double hinges, if you can't use them effectively, what good are they for? Ankles. Hinge. Hinge movement. There you go. Toe hinge. Get that out of the way. We do have ankle rocker movement, which is good and essential. For Green Goblin, so the articulation is fine. Nothing really over the top for William Dafoe here. But we will take a look at that a bit more, actually, in the accessories section. Now, for the glider, right? Oh, he's got a broken ankle. The glider is actually going to be really important in taking a look at the articulation because we do have the feet pedals. Let me go ahead and take this off the stand. Oh, look at that. I don't know, the feet holders, whatever you would call this. So they rock on hinges, which is great for different neat poses. And they do also spin around. So if you want to put the Goblin in whatever freaky position you want, you can. They just can't rock forward and back. They do have holes on the bottom here, but he doesn't have holes in his feet. So if you did want to do something fun with like some extra support, you can't really do that. Like if you wanted to put a third-party peg system in there. But if you have blue tack or like a specific kind of wax, I suppose you can do that. You can't pop the holders off. So it is what it is. Keep in mind, we do have a piston system down here. Spoiler alert, these open and close. You can see these particularly are moving in and out. I have flashbacks to the Monster Arts Mechagodzilla 2021. What that means is Tamashii used pistons for the hips, and those had a tendency to break. So I would not just like go ham like I'm doing right here. I'm a professional. I'm not. So please don't do this. But the main reason you do that is because here is a hinge as well. Ooh, that's pretty cool. So in conjunction with the other hinges, you can kind of do something like that. Oh, look at that. It's off center. Look at that. We can get a little goofy. See, look how that's done. So this is probably about like the extreme you can do, right? So you can get them to glide in an angle. And that's pretty fun, I think. So for the articulation for the glider, I really think that this is pretty neat, and that's about the extent that I would expect. It's actually a bit more articulated than I was anticipating. As I was moving this one around, I was pretty surprised to see this part moving, that part moving. Yeah, I like it. Now, this is hard plastic. Don't drop this. Like, I would not expect this to survive a shelf dive. I have had the Green Goblin fall off of the glider, and I thought this was going to fall and break, but it did not. So I have not dropped this yet. I don't plan on it. It's just my opinion. Now, the sculpt and the paint, because this will also work well going into the accessories section. And I do have to say that if you do really truly compare to the final source material in the movie, well, unfortunately, the Green Goblin is not going to be one-to-one. There are a couple of smaller details like the right arm weapon piece, whatever you would prefer to call it. That actually is not going to be included in this set, so there are going to be things like that. It seems as if they used an older piece of source material for this particular release, which is a bit of a shame. With that being said, though, I think we can evaluate the figure based on what we have and not what we could have had. I do know that accuracy is very important to some, especially when it comes to the price tag. I'm talking about the figure as it stands because I like what we do have here. The metallic green is amazing. It's a nice, deep, almost emerald green, and I'm going to show a little bias here. That is nearly my favorite color, green. So I am going to say that I like that. I typically don't like the green and purple combination, despite the fact that, I admittedly do like the Joker, but the combination here is really, really nice. Nothing is really overtaking the green so much. Yes, there is going to be that purple hoodie that's there, but nevertheless, I do think that everything is relatively well controlled. Now, with that being said, we do have to take a look at the head sculpts that this figure does come with, and we're going to go ahead and just talk about them right now before we go into full-on the accessories section. So we have a few different combinations here. We do have the default out of the box. That is going to be the goggled head. There you go. Then we are going to have a head sculpt without the goggles. So instead of the goggles being a separate accessory, we are going to have, okay, so I guess that works. All right, then we are going to have a hood as well. So the hood is actually going to be interchangeable with the hoodie in and of itself, which, okay, I think that is pretty neat. So if you do have a specific look you want for the Green Goblin, you can do that. Now, for the particular head sculpts, there is going to be that blade that's going to be on his forearm, and we do get an alternate part for that as well, which is going to be an extended one that actually it could have been more beneficial to be made of a softer plastic. It is made of a hard plastic, and just like the glider, I am pretty scared if they should decide to take a shelf dive in any way, shape, or form. They being if the Green Goblin decides that he wants to take a shelf dive alongside the glider. Next up, we do have the Pumpkin Bomb, and the Pumpkin Bomb does look pretty nice. It is just going to be, a little orange sphere that he can hold in one of his two alternate hand parts, and there's going to be a green button there. Not a whole lot to really write home about for that. There you go. The glider. Okay, we took a look at it already for the articulation, but let's look at it a bit more up close and personal. Again, made of a very hard plastic, but nevertheless, it does look rather nice with no paint application that is really going to be out of place. We do have the little missiles, the rockets, what have you underneath. Those gold tips are painted really well. Overall, nothing really negative to write home about when it comes to the glider. Now, with all of that being said, we actually do have to use the accessories, so let me go ahead and show you everything. So for the alternate hand parts, this is going to be all that we get. We are going to get sort of like creepy splayed out hands, as you can kind of see here, the stretched out fingers. We do get like Goku fighting karate hands. It's a different kind of Pumpkin Bomb holding hands. And then we do get left and right Pumpkin Bomb holding hands. We only get one Pumpkin Bomb, but I will note that, I'll just outright say it, if you do get the Marvel Legends, the Pumpkin Bombs are, oddly enough, almost the same size. So as you saw in the opening picture, if you get both of them, which stick around for the end, there is a benefit for getting both, if you will. Okay, so for the extended blade, it's really easy. You just have to pop this off, and then you pop this on. Look at that. Not a big deal. Thumbs up. So, how do you swap for the different hoods for the hoodie? Okay, just to make things simple and easy, we'll move all of this out of the way. Now, I was initially confused. I was initially scared. I thought I broke the thing. So, what you're actually going to need to do is not only pop the head off. This is how you should do it, okay? You can finagle it and do it other ways. Pop the neck off. Real simple. Boop. If you're going to do the hood, I do not like putting the hood on. Okay. The divot is the front of the neck. So, reattach. Pop. So for the hood, this makes your life so much easier. Then line it up And there you go. There you go. Now, if you're like me, you want that classic Green Goblin look, the classic William Dafoe, where you got Sam Raimi's original, right? Pop that off. This arm out. Shoop. There you go. Come on. See, this can be a bit of a pain. Hey, oh, okay. So that's something I'm going to have to fiddle around with off camera. But okay. There you go. That's upside down, I think. But nevertheless, you kind of get the point. Okay, so you can get Green Goblin to be displayed without the hoodie, which is cool. Now, here's where we go into the negatives of the accessory. So I already kind of talked about one. We only get one pumpkin bomb. He didn't throw just one pumpkin bomb. Okay. We don't get a support stand for his glider, which is really confusing to me because this is a pattern that Tamashii Nations will have, where they will make a flying character or an accessory, but they won't include any sort of flight support. This goes all the way back to the SH Monster Arts line near the start of the line, where they made the flying aggregate destroyer form, but they didn't include a flight support stand whatsoever, which is really odd. Now, admittedly, the support stands are nigh universal, so you can pretty much use any of the Tamashii stage support arms that you get, and you just plug it in. So it's not hard to do. You can get a set for, admittedly, about $10. And, you know, if you've got another release, it's not a big deal. But still, you'd think that they would be able to do so. And there you go. He's actually very stable. Thank you. On the... you love stuff like that. He's very stable on the glider until like he really gets hit. So if he is on the glider and the glider is stable, you're not going to need another support stand. What I think is really, though, the biggest issue is right here. Right? We have Sirius and Sirius with goggles. Dafoe's Goblin is a psycho, right? He's maniacal. He's grinning. You see nothing but teeth and those crazy eyes. So I don't know if this is like supposed to be him when he's like got the Goblin under control a little bit, which the box and the promo pics that they have don't indicate that. But that feels like a really huge missing component for this release. So if they were going to do head sculpts instead of what I'm about to talk about, they really should have included like the William Dafoe expression here for the Green Goblin, okay? Even in the final battle, that's basically his default, right? I just got done watching that just for references. And I don't care if it was one scene, the helmet. There's no helmet here, and that is really disappointing. That being said, stick around for the final shot of the review, and you'll see something that we can maybe get around. But of course, if you need effect parts, explosions to go with your bombs or support stands, so on and so forth, you know that I have videos to help you out, and there should be a card popping up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Of course, if I remember. And to round out the review, here's going to be a size comparison with the Figuarts red and blue suit Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. So if you were looking to maybe have one or both of them on your purchase list, or maybe you have one or the other and you're looking at the other, then guess what? You're going to have a good reference point for both of them alongside some other figures you might have in your collection. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. This figure does have a lot of controversy, I should suppose, that is surrounding it, and I would have to say it does have good reason for that. The figure is going to be expensive, at about $165 and a premium Bandai release, so this isn't going to get reissued. If anything, it may get repainted, or it may have a different release with different accessories. This is going to be one production run and done, and that's the reason why it does cost as much as it does, on top of the other MCU licensing and so on and so forth. But again, with it being as much as it is, folks will definitely expect near perfection at a price tag this high, especially with, let's be honest here, another alternative on the market that does offer some of the critiques that I cited, being what many would feel is essential for William Dafoe's Green Goblin. Now, with that being said, let's not deny what this figure does bring to the table, because we would be robbing it of what it does well. The glider is amazing, and quite frankly, you can conduct some monkey business with it. I really didn't touch on it, but you can use the glider with other figures, and it's great for some meme potential. The articulation, it does leave a bit to be desired, but nevertheless, you can get this Green Goblin to move in quite a few different fun ways, and when it really comes down to it, the overall execution of the figure, it just looks stunning, albeit not accurate. So when it really comes down to it, if you do like what you see, you're not going to be getting a product that you will regret. That's something that I will say. But when it does come to getting a Green Goblin figure that really captures what William Dafoe's Green Goblin is, I don't think that this is going to tickle the fancy of everyone. I think you're going to have to maybe get two of them. I'll leave you to sit with that as you may.